Arsenal lose 1-0 to Paris Saint-Germain in the first leg of the Champions League semifinal at home at the Emirates. It was disappointing. I'm hot-headed. I'm frustrated by the lack of ability to finish, which has been far and away the biggest issue the entire season and for 2-3 seasons. If you really want to talk about it, it's been the issue for about 15 seasons here at Arsenal. But yeah, we can talk about we can get into the nitty-gritty of, PSG dominated the first 20, 25 minutes. PSG could have scored more than one goal, yada, yada, yada. But at the end of the day, Gabriel Martinelli, if he scores at the end of that first half, we go into the second half, it's basically 0-0. It's a fresh start. We're dominating the game. We have them where we want them. Very tough for him not to score on that. I mean, Miles Lewis-Skelly, what a run, what a pass. You have to score those opportunities. Gabriel Martinelli, so frustrating to have missed that. Start the second half perfectly, score a goal, offside by a foot, a literal foot, not a foot, but the actual foot of Mikel Merino, even though he scores with his head. Very tough, very, very frustrating moment. Leandro Trossard, 20 minutes later, has an opportunity to get us 1-1. Donnarumma makes a great save, but nonetheless, a goal that needs to be scored. That's what I'm taking away from this match. Yes, that first 20 minutes, we looked nervous. We looked unprepared. The tactics were not right. I think we all know that we missed Thomas Partey in a big way tonight, and as much as I don't want to need Thomas Partey in the side, in this current structure of Arsenal, with the injuries we have at center forward, we desperately needed Thomas Partey. And it's more about the fact that we needed a center forward with the ability to help us play long, hence the Kai Havertz or the Mikel Merino, who should have been up there. But Leandro Trossard just did not offer enough at all at any point during the match. He was drifting way too far left. It's exactly as I predicted 2 days ago. With Trossard at striker, we do not have a body in the middle of the field. It kept making Saka have to pull into the middle of the park, Timber being our furthest forward player on the right wing. We like to get Saka more centrally, but not as a center forward. It doesn't allow Odegaard to play at his best, and Odegaard had a terrible match, but a lot of that has to do with our inability to break the press because we could not go long. Even at the very beginning of Arteta's system in this team, there's always been an element of going long to help yourself beat the press later on, because then they have to respect you for spacing the field, for bringing more depth to the field. You're not always going to go short. You're not always going to play through the middle of the park. It changes the way that their press structure is. But that first 30 minutes, we couldn't try and go long. We had no options as an outlet going long, and we could not get out of our own third over and over and over again. And yes, we grew into the game very, very well. And it gives me some confidence that we can go and get a 1-0 win at PSG, and then it's extra time and penalties, and anything can happen there. I do feel that that is a possibility. I'm not ruling this out. But the frustrations of the inability to score in 1v1s for this team over and over and over again for years, if that's not a sign to the board that we need to go and sign prolific scorers, not prolific players who are really skilled and can do it. We need to sign prolific scorers, people who are lethal finishers, transitional threats, people who score with 1-2 touches of the ball in and around the box, get the ball off quick, score into corners. Do not miss those opportunities. We don't have them in our side outside of Bukayo Saka. And teams, when they don't have to respect the rest of our team, are able to hone in on that. And Saka doesn't get the opportunity to get into those positions. That is what the takeaway is from this match. Yes, a lot of players could have played better. We could have come out with a much different idea of who we were. Yeah, I think there's an argument to say, and Miles Lewis-Skelly proved that tonight, that he could have started in midfield. And no one doubted that, but it made sense to not start him in midfield. Because if he did start in midfield and Rice would have been able to carry the ball more the way that we've seen him do it so spectacularly this year, it would have allowed Merino to be at the striker and so on and so forth. But at the end of the day, if either of Martinelli or Trossard finish 1v1s, and we walk out of this tie at 1-1, I think a lot of us are feeling like we've got a very solid chance of going and getting a result at PSG and getting through to the final. But now it's an uphill battle. We're going to have to go out there and really bring it to them. And they're deadly on the counterattack. This is going to play directly into their hands the way that they want to play. Make it be end-to-end. Make it be frantic. And we're going to need to go get an early goal and make them tighten up. That's how it's going to have to be. And truthfully, we got not a good enough performance from our captain yet again this season. Martin Odegaard with a true 0 out of 10 performance. He had 9 passes 60 minutes in. Our number 8, our player who's supposed to link from the back 5 to the front 4, had 9 passes 60 minutes into a match at home in the Champions League semifinal. That's everything you need to know about whether or not he fits into the future of this team. And it's been clear for about 6 months that he is starting to fade out of how we play and the way that we're most successful. But tonight was a true signifier that he cannot start against PSG in the second leg. He cannot be the focal point of our play anymore. There are too many things that need to go his way in order to make an impact. And the physical side of it is something that I can't comprehend. He has completely lost the ability to win duels, to put a foot in, to ride challenges. He was never the most physical player, but he is now getting bodied week in and week out and incapable of being on the ball and progressing it. He has to run away from contact so frequently that unless he has tons of time or space to play forward, he cannot play forward. He kills transitional attacks. He kills our ability to get into the box with one or two passes rather than a well-orchestrated move. That's just the fact of it. Ethan Nwaneri is the upgrade on Martin Odegaard in every single facet of the game in terms of the long-term goal. Right now, yes, Odegaard probably still has some on Ethan due to experience, but Ethan Nwaneri is the exact kind of player that fits into that role, who can alternate with Saka, who can play as a false nine and receive inside. He can receive outside. He can drive at players. He can, move around players. He can ride contact. He's not scared of the moment. And Martin Odegaard truly looked scared of the moment in every single way in this match. And you can't have that from your captain. You can't have that from a starting player in a Champions League semifinal. The whole thing was a very big disappointment to see him struggle like that as our captain, supposed to be our leader, hiding from the match and far and away our worst player on the pitch. And for Arteta not to sub him until the 90th minute is beyond me. I understand it's 1-0. You don't want to go and give up another goal and go to Paris down 2 because then it's very, very far-fetched that we could get through. But to let Odegaard play 90 minutes is beyond me. He was so not on the pace of the match at any point. And Ethan provided a great spark in the 5 minutes he played in stoppage time. Arteta's substitutions have been so frustrating for so long. And yeah, he has started to trust the youth in a way that I think we all know he would always when he had the players that he needed. But Ethan deserved to get onto that pitch a lot earlier than he did. And I'm sure Arteta feels that way too. And listen, the game, the match, the tie was on a knife's edge for so long. Sometimes you want to just ride that out and because you feel like you have gained momentum. But there was a clear lull in that mid-70 period, minute 70, minute 75 period where we needed a change. We needed a Ben White on for Timber, who was clearly injured, and there was a lot of space for White to overlap, who does it so well. And Odegaard, just his frailty showing on the pitch and not setting the tone the way a captain should. We spoke a little bit about Gabriel Martinelli's 1v1 incapabilities, but he's truly just letting down this attack time and time again, and it comes to a point where he cannot be our starting left winger next season. I feel like I've gone back and forth a little bit on this, but tonight's match just tells you he's not of the level of a Champions League winning team. Over a 38-game season in the Premier League, I think Martinelli starting 20 to 25 matches is totally fine. I think he is that level of player. But when you go and play giants like Real Madrid and PSG, and you need consistent performances, but also, and more importantly, you need special moments, Gabriel Martinelli does not deliver. Even in that 92nd, 93rd minute, that ball rolls to him. He slips, he hits the ball up into the second tier. There's no reason a player at Arsenal who is our starting left winger should be doing that consistently. It's not a once in a while. These are moments that happen all the time. Lets down the attack after a brilliant move, or the ball comes to him and it dies with him. We just can't have that. I feel no confidence when the ball gets to his feet. And it's just so different than how it used to be with him. That 15-goal season in the Premier League was special. When he got that ball, it felt like he was going to score or assist every single time. But he's lost that ability, whether it's confidence, whether it's through the injuries that he's had, whether it's through the lack of left-hand side dynamics, whatever it might be. But right now, he's not that player. And him and Trossard have shown why we need to go get truly, truly prolific finishers. It doesn't matter. Martinelli is not an excellent part of our build-up play. He's not an integral part of it. So that means he either needs to be a transitional monster or a special finisher, a lethal finisher. And he's not any of those three things right now, which means he's not a net positive on a consistent basis. Therefore, we need to find people who are net positives every time they're on the pitch. No matter how good a performance they're playing, there needs to be a net positive. And right now, we're not getting that from Gabriel Martinelli. And let's end on something a little bit more positive, which is Miles Lewis-Skelly. I mean, that first half, when we need somebody to step up and take the reins and create something and show the physicality, set the tone, was it our captain, Martin Odegaard? No. Was it our midfield? No. It was Miles Lewis-Skelly who started picking up the ball, running into the midfield, dragging players all around, picking up fouls and giving us breaths when we needed breaths, playing in between the lines passes, playing through balls. I mean, Miles Lewis-Skelly was the best player on the pitch for a lot of that match. He's an 18-year-old who is never supposed to be here at this point in his career. And you just wonder how high the heights could be for Miles Lewis-Skelly because he's not even in his preferred position. This is a player who's going to step into midfield next year alongside Declan Rice, alongside Martin Zubimendi, alongside Mikel Merino, alongside Ethan Nwaneri, alongside Max Dowman in the near future. And he's going to continuously be one of the best players in the world every time he sets foot on the pitch. And it's not just his ability. This kid is a maverick. Think about the things that have happened to him from the media, from other players, from the referees, and he's not let any of that affect him in any way. If anything, it's made him better. It's truly an unbelievable player, and just you have to take positives like him from a match like this because it's going to get, it's not going to get talked about enough because the talk will be Arsenal lost at home in the Champions League semifinal. But if that match ends 1-1, I guarantee you Miles Lewis-Skelly is one of the biggest talking points in the world after that match. In a Champions League semifinal, what he just did is unheard of. Youngest starting Premier League or English player in a Champions League semifinal ever. That's Miles Lewis-Skelly, breaking records consistently, never shying away from the moment. That's Arsenal Report. We'll be back tomorrow with maybe some more level-headed, looking at the ins and outs of the match, a more tactical analysis. But this is the quick, right off the final whistle conversation on Arsenal Report. Make sure to subscribe, like, and comment. Let me know what you'd like me to talk about leading up to that second leg. And I may just be there for that second leg. So we'll keep you posted on that. Thanks for watching Arsenal Report. Make sure to subscribe, and we'll talk to you tomorrow.